What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane, joined once again by my good friend Cole Adshaw, and a special guest in the building tonight to help us celebrate St. John's first NCAA tournament win in 25 years. David Baroff from the Eye on the Storm podcast. Of course, you know him, you love him. Dave, thanks for joining us. Cole, how we feeling tonight, fellas? I mean, it's been a long time coming, 25 years exactly. How do we feel?
Dude, I'm gonna keep the my little musical quotes going from how I've done the last couple episodes, and I am gonna quote the greatest rock and roll band in the history of rock and roll, who may or may not be AI. We don't know, and that's the Stormhogs. It's a storm surge, ride the lightning, one step closer. Stakes are rising.
Okay.
One down, 5 to go. National championship, St. John's incoming.
Not the Omaha Steaks.
How about the poetic nature of winning your first game 10 years to the day that you played your last game on the day 2 years exactly that Rick Pitino was hired? Like, there's just cosmos and everything aligning, and we've been talking about it all season. There's magic. There's magic this year, and today was just a little bit more of that. And, throughout the day, I'm kind of piecing these things together, and I tweeted a few of them, and I saw other people tweeting. It's like, what else could it be, man? Louis is smiling down on us. I mean, what else could it be? What a beautiful evening. A little bit of a sweat there in the first 10 minutes, and then they kind of settled down and they figured it out. The defense ramped up. And then that second half, I mean, that's St. John's basketball there, baby.
Yeah. I mean, as much as a 30-point game can feel like testing, I do feel like this was. We had to sweat it out. We had to feel what it's like to, have the pressure of an NCAA tournament game, have a couple of guys in foul trouble, bounce back in the second half. And, I mean, this game felt like so many St. John's games we've seen, not just this season, but recently. Fall down 7-0, quick timeout, settle ourselves in, and if we can shoot like this the rest of this tournament, no one's going to want to see us.
Well, I don't want to steal pessimistic Pat's new alter ego, but I'll admit to allowing past St. John's trauma to creep in during that first half. I was sitting there whining. I think I got a knock on my neighbor's wall, like when I was screaming, "Get a freaking rebound" during that first half. Apologies to them, but I think one of the big things that we can take away from this game, obviously you play an absolute killer second half. We've gotten to see some of Rick Pitino's sort of post-game or mid-halftime adjustment speeches, and I would have loved to be in that locker room during that halftime today. But I think as we progress through this tournament, and we all know what our goals are here, potentially maybe to get farther than this program has ever been in the NCAA tournament is my hope here. But I don't think we can continue to play this game that we've played all season long of not playing two solid halves. I don't think when you get into playing maybe potentially a game against Florida in the Elite Eight, you can't play this shit of like not playing balls to the wall in the first half. So I think amazing win. Obviously, you crush them by 30. You cover the spread, all wonderful. You look like gangbusters in the second half, but I think you take away, then Rick has teaching points, and that's what he loves to do. And I'm sure he'll be up in those guys' behinds based on how they played in the first half. But I don't think you can do that against better competition.
I think you touched on pressure, right? And I think obvious first half, just tight situation that most of the guys are already used to. Kadari played Syracuse as a freshman. He probably doesn't even remember being in the tournament. Sadiku with a few minutes with Iona and Zuby, Kansas. Like, this is foreign territory, and Rick can just try to hammer home what it's going to be like. But what Rick also said throughout the Big East tournament was that he was trying to simulate pressure the entire time to get them ready for today and for this tournament. And he said in that Marquette game, basically 4 minutes, you got to win the 4 minutes. And, I think we hear Sean Miller say it often, you got to win the 4-minute wars. I think this was all a culmination to get ready for today. And, those first 4 minutes, first 8 minutes was really tough for them. And it took them a little bit to get over the hump. But when you look at what that first half was, it was St. John's not playing well, getting beat at their own game on the glass, only getting 6 points from Kadari, Zuby, and Scott, having a 5-point lead still, and not allowing that to break them or, let that leave their identity. And ultimately, they made such a statement again in the second half where they were just like, all right, we got this, no panic. And they just stepped on their throats and took out the Omaha trash. You ain't breaking no trash cans on St. John's watch. That's not happening.
No, took out the Omaha trash is right. Shout out to our good friends Catalone and Lapis. Continue our undefeated streak with those guys in studio.
Hey, I know people don't like Lapis, but like Lapis is fun to listen to. I like Steve.
Lapis is a good time. I'm partial to Catalone. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the CBS Sports Plus premium super package. They sometimes throw us on, but shout out to those guys. We're going to ride the wave hopefully one more time on Saturday. So what struggled first half really was the offensive rebounds we were letting up. And you mentioned our identity a second ago, Dave, and that's like our pressure defensively, how we can stretch the court, cover a stretched court with any of our 5 guys in any single spot. And what that does on the negative side is puts you in positions to not always be in a good rebounding spot. You've got Zuby, for example, guarding a point guard 30 feet from the basket, which he does so well, but that means he's not inside the paint being our best rebounder. So with that said, it is our identity. It is something that we do so well. We're not going to change how we do things, but can it hurt us Saturday against Arkansas, a team that's got a full roster full of athletes, a full roster of guys who might be more adept at going for a rebound than they might be for taking an open 3-point shot. So something to be cautious about is, do we have to maybe rein it in a little bit and focus more on our keeping guys off the offensive glass against an Arkansas team that struggles from the perimeter?
I think you mentioned 2 things that really, you mentioned one thing, but a second thing that really hurt us in that first half. And obviously you mentioned the boards, like we were getting crushed on the offensive glass in the first half, and that cannot continue against better competition. But I think the other thing that really killed us was obviously foul trouble. We mentioned ad nauseum multiple times over the last couple of games. Aaron Scott cannot get into foul trouble. He is so important to what we do at the defensive end that it is so essential that he does not pick up any quick early fouls, and then picked up immediately 2 fouls within the first 6 minutes of the game. We know Rick Pitino is going to glue you to the bench when you pick up those 2 fouls. He cannot do that. And that second foul, we should also mention, was a little cheapy. Like we don't need to bring out conspiracy theory Cole, along with pessimistic Pat. We don't need conspiracy theory Cole. I don't know what Vegas was looking for. Maybe they were looking for that plus 18.5. But I didn't like that second foul. But Aaron has to be more careful. Cannot pick up those early fouls. Obviously, Kadari then picking up 2, also getting glued to the bench. Maybe that has a lot to do with our second half performance, but we got to stay out of foul trouble. Obviously, fouls are going to be tighter now in the NCAA tournament. And then also, like you mentioned, got to be better on the offensive, or keeping teams off the offensive glass.
I was gonna say that the talking point going into the tournament was that, hey, all you Big East teams, you're gonna get called tighter in this tournament, and St. John's, I think, did a good job in that second half, kind of adjusting, but like they were still, I think, aggressive enough, but nobody picked up more than 3 fouls in the second half. So that was important. They still found a way to get to the line. I think that they found that happy medium, but also in a 30-point blowout, you're gonna not have to be, I guess, as aggressive in that sense. And I do agree with you. Aaron's has this propensity of picking up all these fouls. Simeon also, but just better. I mean, overall, I think that second half was it's when you're in a situation like this, when you haven't won in 25 years, when you haven't been in this round of 64 in so long, that it's kind of even hard to process at this moment where, like, you didn't just win; you just blew out a team. More St. John's has the just won with the largest margin of victory in NCAA tournament program history. Like that's what we're talking. It's just another historic check.
And we were
mark.
down. We were down 0-7 to start the game. Yep. We're just breaking records, setting new ones. It's been a season. I just hope it lasts 5 more games, Dave.
But I'll counter to what Dave just said about talking, like he compared Sim to Aaron Scott, like also picking up quick fouls. And it's like, well, if Sim is in the starting lineup and he picks up a couple quick fouls, we have Davon Smith coming off the bench. I don't think there's the replacement for Aaron Scott. That's why he's so important to what he will,
especially defensively.
Defensively, like Deku has played tremendously over the last couple of weeks, the last month. He's been amazing off the bench. He's nowhere close to what we get from Aaron Scott, especially on the defensive end and obviously shooting from deep. Like we rely on him so much without Brady Dunlap. He has to stay out of foul trouble. That is so important for us the rest of the way.
I'll say him. I think Sim played well tonight offensively. 13 points, 3 threes, a couple mid-range jumpers, drive to the rim as well. He does need to stay out of foul trouble. He does not get his fouls from crashing the glass, though. I'll tell you that much. 0 defensive boards, zero rebounds tonight as a guard. Playing close to, I don't know what the final minutes were, but 26 minutes. Just doesn't do enough for me on the glass, and he's a big enough guy, an athletic enough kid to contribute at least something. I mean, look at our good buddy Stephen Ashworth. The guy gets 4 to 5 rebounds a game, just running around looking for them. So
I just found out Stephen Ashworth is a father. I've been making fun of him for being old. I had no idea he was married with kids. Jesus Christ, what is that kid?
Yeah, he's 46.
I was gonna say, is he 42?
Yeah. But shout out to Sim for getting us going early with making some jump shots. His shooting's a big part of us reaching our ceiling. And I thought Smith looked comfortable as we've seen him lately. Couple threes, attacking the basket, perimeter defense. Good to see us seemingly with the team we have now as healthy as we've seen heading into Saturday against a good Arkansas squad.
How about Ruben Prey? I thought Ruben was phenomenal in this game.
Phenomenal. Yep. After a couple mediocre games based on how much we've been pumping him up over this season, he hasn't been playing as much or had as good games. He was tremendous.
Yeah, tonight. 13 minutes, hit a 3. I think his 3rd on the season. He was great, man. Like it's nice to see that. I thought Vince wasn't terrible. Finally, that was good to see. Both of them played solid, together 21 minutes. We need those minutes, especially for Zuby to
that was a big basket.
So, I think Vince has been good offensively all season. I know he's caught a lot of slack from us on SJUBB Twitter and all the fan base. I think he's always been shown a propensity for on the offensive end, and now over the last couple of games has shown a propensity for absolutely huge game-changing buckets. I thought his bucket at the end of the and one at the end of the first half was a momentum.
What a sick pass by Davon on that too.
Yeah, that was a big swing. They went from having a chance to tie it to turning it over to us hitting an old school 3-point play there to take a 5-point halftime lead, and we never looked back. Kansas, Arkansas, we knew it was going to come down to one of those underperforming, high-powerful, high-major teams. It happens to be Arkansas. Calipari versus Pitino Saturday. Wouldn't be surprised if this is the 12 o'clock or the 2:45 standalone game Saturday. But nonetheless, St. John's going to have a quicker turnaround playing this late. Do you guys have any thoughts on this Arkansas squad? I'm not going to pretend like I watched a bunch of their games, but I saw them a few times, familiar with a few of their players, and they've got talent. They've got guards who can go by you. They've got big guys who can crash the glass, so it won't be easy. Thoughts, Dave or Cole, on Arkansas?
So Jonas Adu has been phenomenal. He was phenomenal in this game against Kansas. My concern with this game is that St. John's is going to get a lot thrown at them athletes-wise. I think more so than they were used to in the Big East. Excuse me, but I think that's going to be the biggest difference is that they are not going to be bigger than Arkansas. They are not going to be more athletic than Arkansas. Where's the advantage? It starts on the sidelines. Rick Pitino is going to coach circles around John Calipari. The stuff that John has been saying this season after games and some of his coaching decisions is very questionable. And the fact that they had struggled with the zone today, which I'm curious if St. John's will play a little bit of zone against Arkansas, given how it really gave them fits when Kansas threw it at them today. Are they going to really press the inbounds, because they had a lot of issues getting the ball in today against Kansas? So I'm just curious, because I know probably in the next hour or two, St. John's is going to be back watching film, and they're going to be showered up and back at the hotel dissecting Arkansas right now. So I think that the biggest advantage obviously is Rick Pitino over John Calipari. I'm very curious if Arkansas is going to get Thoreau back. I think he's probably going to still be out with that injury, which is going to be huge. Coach Calipari did say that he played Boogie Fland a lot more than he wanted to. He played 24 minutes. Boogie was 2 of 7 from the floor. But it's going to be a fun matchup of athletes versus St. John's defense. I'm very much looking forward to it. I think that there's a lot for them to gain from what Kansas did against Arkansas, but I think St. John's is going to win the game. I'm pretty confident about that, just because I like the defense against them.
Okay, and you brought up the zone, which is a good point. It was kind of what I was getting at with our defensive pressure. Could we find that compromise a little bit? We haven't seen the zone. I've been thinking it'd be nice to have an option all year with Vince to throw in the middle there, and not have him be so pressure driven on the perimeter. But tomorrow, keep something hidden all year, throw it out of your back pocket against an Arkansas team that struggles. I think that'd be, it wouldn't surprise me. Pitino had a ton of success with zones in his Louisville days, so I'm sure he can think of something. I'm sure even if we haven't seen it in game action, we've been working on it behind the scenes. Davis is the guy that scares me most for them, but
playing a lot better. He's been playing a lot better of late.
So
he was really struggling to start. They didn't really have a good role for him early on, and he's really come on of late and looking like his FAU days.
Been to a Final Four, he's been there. But Wagner played 40 minutes, talented kid, but played 40 minutes. See if he can bounce back there. Cool. I know you've been chomping at the bit to see either of these two teams. So your thoughts on Arkansas?
I think the NCAA got the matchup that they wanted, right? They wanted Rick against Little Ricky. I cannot wait for Saturday. It's going to be just absolute cinema. Chef kiss. Kudos to the NCAA, the selection committee.
Yeah. You think they're happy?
Yeah. They are very, very, very happy. But yeah, super interested to see what Vegas throws out as a line.
5.5. It's out already.
Ooh. I mean, when you say 5.5,
St. John's favorite by 5.5.
Minus 5.5.
When you saw me looking down earlier, that was me typing and sending out the line.
Yeah, well, let's go.
I wonder what Vegas's honest opinion would have said if you made them put that line out before the Arkansas-Kansas game. If they weren't a little bit more impressed with how Arkansas played tonight, that's not too far off. 5.5 points, 10 to a 2 seed. So tells you how much they respect Arkansas as a 10 seed.
It's gonna be not an easy game. I think that Arkansas could score the ball. At one point in that first half, I thought it was gonna be 1st to 95. Honestly, they were going up and down. And that's the other thing that I really took away from this game. Arkansas cannot stop a cold. They do not have a defense at all. And while St. John's does struggle offensively, except not tonight, but in general, they're going to be up against longer athletes in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But they don't have a real defensive presence, in my opinion. They got size, but if you don't know how to use that move correctly, St. John's could be able to pick you apart. And if RJ Lewis Jr. is going to hit threes the way that he did tonight, good luck.
I thought too, watching that Kansas game, I thought their offense looked stagnant at times. I think, and that's going against a Kansas team that, has had their struggles over the course of the year. You're not talking about one of the best defenses in all of college basketball that St. John's will roll out.
The best, number one.
Well, that's that dribble drive offense, and sometimes, as Kentucky fans, it's more dribble and less drive. So there's some times where it looks like it's standing around wandering.
Lapis said that. Lapis was like, why what's Arkansas doing oftentimes where they didn't know what to do with the zone? They were just dribbling the ball around the perimeter. And it's like, you guys got to move. And it was like 4 seconds left on the shot clock. I think he literally said, what are you going to do now? Like, so it's going to be interesting contrast in styles for sure.
I can't wait. We'll get you guys out of here quick. I know it's almost 1 a.m. here. I want to just touch on quick. Big East 3-0 so far. Big win by Creighton. Xavier the night before took out Texas, then ourselves took care of business against Omaha. 3 more tomorrow. We've got Marquette versus New Mexico. We've got UConn versus Oklahoma, and we've got Xavier, not Xavier Cole. All right, it's Xavier. Okay, versus Illinois.
I still stand by
Bro, I'm
Google.
with you, man.
Google
I'm with you.
AI
It says X
in
on their
English,
jersey. They call them the X-Men.
Xavier.
Anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Will the Big East go 3-0 tomorrow? If not, who's losing?
Well, I've got UConn over Florida in the second round, and I also have Marquette over Michigan State. So go Big East.
Wow. And Xavier Cole? I mean, we're not going to let you slip away from it.
I'm one of those idiots who fills out their bracket before the first round stuff is done because, we have to have the March Madness expansion and have to like drag it out so people can't fill out their brackets. I had Xavier/Texas going to like the Sweet 16. So yeah, go Big East.
3-0 tomorrow. He's predicting it. Dave?
I've been pretty wrong on my bracket throughout, so don't take my word on it, but I have New Mexico beating Marquette. That's the only one that
remove his
see.
Big East card.
Okay.
Boo.
Wow. All right.
I'm very,
wouldn't be surprised
very bullish on that New Mexico team in this kind of setting. And Marquette trending in the opposite direction of what I would like right now. I think that's going to be really fun to see Cam Jones and Donovan Dent put up probably 60 shots between them and see which one outscores the other. But I think it's going to be fun.
And I said it to Pat when me and Sean were at the game at Marquette, like Cam Jones is just such an unbelievable college basketball player. Like, obviously I know all of our fans are going to be listening or going to be watching the game, but it's just like, he is so enjoyable to watch as somebody like who is a fan of basketball. Just what an incredible college basketball player.
I will not miss that little scoop under layup that he just destroyed St. John's.
All left hand, never goes right, and just has that scoop.
Or Fremantle yelling going down the court after a dunk. I mean, those guys have been around forever. But I'll be happily rooting for them the rest of this way unless we see any of them along our own journey. But thank you guys. Thank you, Dave, for joining everybody. Please, I mean, if you're not already listening to the Eye in the Storm podcast, what are you doing, folks? Please go give them a follow. Cole, as always, thanks for staying up late. Cole's got to work in the morning. Dave, I'm not sure if you got a morning AM call. I got tomorrow off, folks, so no complaints here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following. For Shamari Pons, I'm Pat Kane. That's Cole Adshaw. That's David Baroff. For Louie, the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. Peace.